Okay, so we're going to change gears now. We're going to speak to one of our most important customers and partners. But before we do, we're going to do a show of hands. How many of you take your phone out, your mobile phone out when you go running? Hands up. Okay. I don't know how many of you actually go running, so I don't know how statistically accurate that will be. How many of you take your phone to the bathroom? How many of you take the phone to the bathroom? Be honest. Come on. We all do it. We all do it. Okay. And the third one is how many of you take your phone to bed at night and have it by your pillow at night? I mean, it's our alarm clock now, right? Yeah. There's a lot of hands. The point I want to make is that the mobile phone has become a proxy for human behavior and consumer behavior. And so we've spoken a lot about new data streams today. We've spoken about telecommunications data. And so I'm really excited to go into a little bit more detail on that now with Vodafone. We're very, very lucky to have Raffaele Gricinella here, who's Strategic B2B Marketing Director here in Spain, but is working globally on a very exciting product which we're working on with Vodafone, which is Vodafone Analytics. So please welcome Raffaele to the stage.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So I hope Flo didn't scare you. I'm not going to be telling you about Big Brother or anything like that. So I'm Raffaele Gricinella. I'm the Strategic Marketing Director here at Vodafone Spain. And in the next 30, 40 minutes, I'm going to be telling you how here in Vodafone Spain, we've been using our experience in analyzing and processing large volumes of data to generate business insight and make business decisions. Now, wait. Don't think. Here we go. Now, before we start, I'd like to tell you a short story. A few weeks ago, during the Mobile World Congress, I was attending an event where a guy named Juan Verde, who is a political strategist who worked with Obama during his two winning campaigns, was telling how, in his opinion, the key for the success of Obama in these campaigns was actually how he was able to use data to optimize the use of his limited resources, or at least more limited than his competition, to win the campaign. And one of the things he was saying, as an example, was he was talking about the fact that he had a team of data scientists who, on Friday, they were able to come up with any idea. They were calling that the Open Doors Friday, where they could actually go to any person in charge of the campaign and propose ideas to improve the campaign or to win more voters. And one of the things he was saying is that one morning, a lady in his big data team went to talk to him and said, I've got an idea. I've actually just realized that in the states of Washington and New York, we have a large number of women between 25 and 40 years old who are completely obsessed with George Clooney. And he was like, right, what are we going to do with this information? That, why is that interesting? And basically, they decided to, what she proposed was to organize a draft where everybody in the target group was able to buy a number and the winner for $150, and the winner was going to win a trip to Los Angeles with a friend, a women friend, to have dinner with George Clooney and Barack Obama in George Clooney's house. They were able to collect more than $15 million in 48 hours. So why is that interesting for me? Basically, I think that in the data and with the data, we can actually optimize resources. We can go to the customers who are more willing to buy our product or to vote for us. And I strongly believe that this is like Excalibur, the sword. I'm pretty convinced that who is going to be able to turn data into value and turn data into business insights will be winning in the marketplace. Now, last year, we launched an initiative which is called Observatorio Vodafone, which is effectively like a panel where what we do is we try to measure the state of digitalization in Spain across different companies of different sizes. What we did was we interviewed more than 2,500 people, mainly occupying management positions in companies from very small companies to very large. And interestingly, when we started to look at what was coming out of this survey, what we saw was that there's a bunch of large companies, large corporates, who are investing in data, investing in analytics, buying different technology. But most of the companies in the market still see this thing of analytics, of big data, as something where they're not really sure where the value is. And what they mention when they talk about this, they basically say three things. The three main barriers are, first of all, they're not too sure where's the return on the investment. Secondly, they say, I see this as something very expensive. I'm not really sure that I can afford to invest so much money in something like that. And third, what they say is, well, I haven't got people with the right knowledge, so I don't know who can actually use this within my organization, or who can make it happen. So that's why we've been thinking about how to overcome these barriers. That's why we've been working and we've been launching in the last few months Vodafone Analytics. So what is Vodafone Analytics? This is a tool or a solution that is using our mobile network data to make business decisions. And what we tried to do was to design the solution as something intuitive, very visual, that anybody can use. And when I say anybody, I'm referring to people who are not technical. This is actually aimed at marketing people, salespeople, people who can actually make decisions by looking at this data in an easy-to-use format. And this is actually standard. This is available from day one. That doesn't mean that we cannot personalize this, customize this to needs who are more complicated. But for us, the key thing is, if you don't want to invest a lot of money, if you don't have the people who are very strong on data and analytics, that's the solution for you. I was mentioning the fact that we use mobile network data. So just to give you an idea, we've got roughly 15 million customers in Spain. All these people, as you know, because I mean, if you live in Spain, you can be one of them. You know, they're moving every day, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. They change location. They go from one place to the other. They make calls. They browse through the mobile phone. They buy things. And all this information is available to us because we have it in a mobile network. And that's what we can use to turn this data into something that can help any company to make decision. Now, as you can imagine, this is a large volume of data. Just to give an idea, right? What we have is roughly 230 interactions per day per user. And that, you multiply that by 50 million, and that's kind of an idea of the volume we're talking about. And the interesting thing here is that, I mean, if you know at a very high level how a mobile network works, our network has to ping every user every 5 minutes to understand where it is, because if you need to receive a call, we need to know where you are, right? So that's the data that we have. However, as I said, what we needed to do here was to try and develop a solution that was easy to use, that was very visual. And we partnered with CARTO to do this. Why CARTO? Well, first of all, because they're leaders in location intelligence, and I think you've been seeing that throughout the morning. For me, other important things, they're agile. So what we need to do as a company, we're a relatively young company. We are 25 years old, but clearly we've become really big. And what we need in this case is speed. We need to be fast in taking things to market, in developing something that is useful for our customers, and work with our customers to turn that into something usable. They have a lot of experience, and they've been helping us as well to design this. And of course, they also have some very large customers, and some of you who are here are part of that or of that group. Now, you may be thinking, this is very good, but how about GDPR, data privacy? Are you spying me? Well, the answer is no. So first of all, the data that we handle and the data that we use in the solution is completely anonymized, is aggregated, so we don't look at individual data, and is extrapolated as well. So it's very good to make decisions on a statistical basis, but it is impossible for us to pinpoint a specific individual and say, okay, Raffaele, yesterday at 4 o'clock you were in this location. Now, the way the solution works is we have, so within Vodafone, we do all the data processing. We get the data from a network. We process this data. We apply algorithms and predictive models to extract useful information and KPIs from the data. What we tend to do is we tend to limit that to 15 instances of each data to make sure that it is impossible to identify a specific person. And then we load that data onto the CARTO platform, where we apply other algorithms and where we can visualize how people are moving, where they are, and other KPIs that we can then analyze. On top of that, what we're also able to do is to bring additional data that is not necessarily coming from us. For example, it could come from banks or from other sources to enrich the information that we already have. What we've done is we've actually worked on specific modules which are independent between each other and that try to address specific needs of different sectors. So, for example, we worked on a module which is specifically focused on events, where anyone, a city council or a private organization want to organize an event, we're able to analyze what's the impact of that particular event. Mobility within a city or within any other location. Tourism, of course, we're able as well to see where tourists come from and where they go, and retail. Let me drill down into some of these modules, because I think it's interesting as well to see what are the key questions that we can address with the solution. So first of all, retail. That's, for me, a very easy to understand use case, because at the end of the day, what we could do is take a particular point of interest, which could be a shop, for example, and start seeing which people are moving around that particular point, that particular shop, which people are moving around that, what is your potential market in that particular area. And then we can use this information to do different things. So for example, we can do some predictive analysis and say, well, so based on these flows of people, how much am I going to sell? Or potentially, where can I open a new store based on this target segment of customers that I'm looking for? I launch a new product. What's the acceptance of that new product? What happens? Am I increasing the number of people coming to my shop? Or even better, you know, if I know that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekend, there's more women of a certain age moving in the area where I've got my shop, can I personalize the advertising? Can I actually tailor that to that particular segment? If we're talking about mobility, I think here, for me, the clear value that we can provide is that we can improve with this data the services that a city council is providing to its citizens. How can we do that? Well, simple or less simple things, transport. So how can I optimize the routes of my buses within the city? Or how can I improve the traffic if I know where people are coming from, where they go, what time they go to work, and whether they go by bus or they use a car. And the beauty of this is that you know, now that cities are becoming more and more connected, and we've got also sensors across the city, we can actually couple the information that is coming from a network, the information that we get from the sensors, and start making some interesting decisions. Like, for example, if I have sensors in my parking spaces, I can actually start directing people to the locations where I've got parking space, and I know that you can find it when you get there. So this can be extremely powerful as well when you manage a city. And the same applies to tourism. So how can I measure the impact of an event in a city? For example, you know, we were in Barcelona, the Mobile World Congress. How can I see how many tourists this is attracting to the city? Where do they go? Where do they sleep? Do they sleep outside the city? Do they come and stay in the city? And that's also quite important to develop the economy within a city. Now, I think I've been telling you about this, but I think for me the best thing is to see it in action. So we're going to do a demo now of Vodafone Analytics. Before we do that, let me introduce you to my friend from CARTO, Javier Perez, who will be helping me with the demo. Javier, big round of applause, please. Javier is very shy, so we didn't give him a microphone so that he cannot talk. Right, so This is Vodafone Analytics for retail. So what you're seeing here is all the Vodafone shops in the city of Barcelona. And what we have, we've selected one particular shop. This is actually a shop that is in the Plaza de España in the center of Barcelona. So let me tell you what you see here and pretty much what information we have available. So first of all, you see a map where in different colors you can see the number of people coming from that particular cell to the area where the shop is. So the more red, the more people are coming from that particular area, right? So as you can see, being a shop in the city center, people are coming from all over the place, actually from very far. So if you go to the right hand, my right hand side, so there, what you can see is you can filter this information. So for example, you can start looking at people coming from home or coming from the workplace. Clearly, this is information that we are inferring based on the information that we have. So we know where you are or where people are sleeping. We know where they are between 9 and 5 from Monday to Friday. So we can identify this with precision. We can also decide whether to filter in terms of weekdays or weekends. We can look at different times of the day to see different level of or different numbers of visitors at different times. Now, if you go to the other side, what you can see is, first of all, what is the typical profile of the visitors in that particular area. So in this case, we're analyzing data from October 2017. What you see is that the typical profile is women between 35 and 44 years old. So where are these women coming from? So the area, or where are all these people coming from, not just the women? So the area is pretty big. So we're talking about 1,400 square kilometers. And then we can see as well, I'm going to be telling you a bit more about that in a second, where people are coming from and what's the farthest place by car, for example. We can see the profile, so 50% men, 50% women, the average age, and how they're distributed across the different age bands. Now, if we want to see, for example, actually, let me, or tell me how many people are coming from a 5 minutes walking distance, right? So here you go. We can reduce the area of influence and start looking at these people, so who they are and what they, where they come from, right? Now, on top of this, what we could do and what we can do is also load the shops from the competition. So potentially here we've loaded the shops from Movistar, from Orange, from Yoigo. Now, to try and be a bit more elegant and not expose the competition, we're going to be comparing this particular shop to another Vodafone shop, which is a shop that is very close to the one that we're analyzing, but it's actually, interestingly enough, a shop very much sort of based in the neighborhood where it is. So as you can see, when you compare and you can see the overlapping areas, it's very visible that the second shop that we've selected is attracting people from the area. There are local people going to that shop. Whereas if you look at the other, which is in a big square, city center, big shopping mall, people are coming from all over the place. On top of that, what we can do is also comparisons in terms of profiles. So you can see as well, the different visiting hours, for example, of the different people, the different profiles, and you can start comparing and, for example, start making some decisions around, well, actually, if this is a local shop and here I've got more young people than in the other one, perhaps I should be focusing my products and services on these particular people. Or maybe when I know that they're coming, I can put some advertising on football because I know that these people are very much like sports. So this is the retail module. So let's go to tourism so that you can see as well that. So here what you can see is the city of Barcelona, right? So the color coding is telling you pretty much what are the areas of Barcelona that attract more tourists to the city, right? So first of all, what we can see here is, as you can imagine, the center, and the old town is where you get most of the people visiting. That's the red area over there. And here as well, you can do the same as before. So you can filter by when in the week they're coming. You can filter from what time of the day they're visiting. And you can also see how people going to Barcelona during October, who they are. So basically what profile they have. So in this case, 48% women, 52% men, the age. And you can also see whether they're coming from other neighborhoods within Barcelona, whether they're coming from other cities within the province of Barcelona, or the provinces, or the countries. And here as well, what we do is we try to categorize each visitor. So for example, we can have people who go to a place sporadically, but they actually live in Barcelona, they move within Barcelona, but they go from time to time to a particular area. This would be what we call local sporadic. National sporadic are people who are coming from the rest of Spain and they're visiting from time to time a particular area. Commuters are people who go to work on a regular basis to Barcelona, to a specific area. They actually live outside. National tourists and international tourists are people who are visiting for a short period of time Barcelona, and they're coming either from the rest of Spain or from abroad. Now, let's filter, for example, if we want to look at tourists, international tourists, let's focus on that. And here we can start seeing some interesting things. So, for example, you see that the area of the harbor of Barcelona is becoming a bit more red. Why is that? Well, because that's where most of the cruise ships in Barcelona get to. And that's where it's one of the main doors to the city for tourists. So that's why they're there. And actually, they're there typically in the morning. However, if I start changing that and I put it to the evening, you can see how gradually they move towards the city center, because that's where the bars are and that's where they can get drinks and party all night. So if we also want to see, for example, how flows of people are changing in different areas, let's take, for example, a particular area, a neighborhood. Here, for example, we're talking about the center. So once again, what you can see is that people going to the center are coming from all over the place, from the rest of Spain or from other neighborhoods in Barcelona. But if, for example, we take a specific neighborhood in the outskirts of Barcelona, right, outside the city center, what you will see is quite a different picture. So doesn't work. Hey, there you go. This is the beauty of doing live demos. That's why I wanted Xavi on stage, so that I can blame him if the demo doesn't work. So the area that we see is one area in the outskirts where you can see that most of the people going there are coming from the areas that are very close, so from the other neighborhoods. So and typically, if we were to look at tourists, what you would see is that the number of tourists visiting that particular area is much, much smaller than what you would see in the center. So this is the demo for Vodafone Analytics. Thank you very much, Xavi. And so for me, I hope, and what I wanted to get across with the demo is that this is simple. So, you can use it from day one. You don't need particular expertise. However, as I said, we can add any KPI that our data will allow us, and we can personalize this. But if you were to use this and you're happy with that, you can get it now, and it's up and running. What are we doing with this, and what are the next steps? Where do we want to take Vodafone Analytics in the future? What we've shown you today is something that is more descriptive analytics. So one of the things that we're developing, and we're working with CARTO to do that, is to develop predictive models, predictive analytics, to be able to take this to the next level. Because what we believe is that with the data that we have, with the tool that we have, with the algorithms of artificial intelligence that we're developing, we will be able to make predictions. We will be able to tell our customers where to invest, where to open a shop, or potentially, we can take digital marketing techniques to the physical world. Because all of a sudden, here, we've got more and better data than what Google can use in the digital space. That's why we believe that Vodafone Analytics will be a great success for a future. Thank you very much.